Hi everyone, this is the video for the yellow object homework. So you will see me do a full time lapse and we'll talk about the painting process for tackling this yellow object. Here's the painting. So there's actually a couple of different yellows or yellowish colors that we have going on. The cloth itself is more of a cooler kind of yellow, or cooler by comparison, so it's more going towards sort of cadmium yellow. The grapefruit is leaning more towards kind of a yellow orange, so there's some reds mixed into there. You can see a full-length mixing demo for this painting, for this homework assignment, in a separate video. So I highly recommend watching that and mixing along as you go. So enjoy the time-lapse sequence, and then I'll come back around at the end and we'll talk about some major things with the painting and with painting chromatic color and especially warm colors together.
Here's the palette I've mixed for this painting. Check out the full-length mixing demo on how to mix out chromatic value strains of yellow. Make sure you are working on a canvas that has been toned a mid-tone gray. Start off by placing your object with a contour line drawing. I am drawing out my object directly with oil paint. You can do this, or you can use your vine charcoal. I'm also looking for the shapes the shadows are making and mapping those in. I begin by addressing the background first, starting with my dark shapes and slowly moving into the light. I take this same approach with each object, establish the shadows first, and then work into the light. You're working with color now, but taking the same approach as we did in our black and white painting. Do not overwhelm your yellow object with white. Really examine the colors you are seeing. The areas of intense highlight will go towards white, but they will be quite small. Make sure to look at the color and value of the direct light shape. It's going to stay quite chromatic. Once you've established all of the major values for everything in your painting, pause, reassess. Are there lights that can go brighter or shadows that can use a little more emphasis? Have your objects stayed chromatic? Squint at your painting and make sure that your value structure is clear. This is essential for the form to read.
Okay, let's talk about this painting and this assignment a little bit and some of the key lessons to consider and take away from it. So we are dealing with warm objects, so especially the grapefruit is more of a kind of yellow orange, so it's a warm yellow. And also we're dealing with this yellow cloth, which is a little bit cooler of a yellow. But yellow in general is kind of it's a warmer color, and when we're dealing with warmer colors, we need to keep in mind that white, when you're adding white, it tends to have a cooling effect, particularly titanium white, which is the white that we are using. So when you add something that has a cooling effect to a warm color, that can change the way that the color reads and the way that it registers, and it can look like it's a different color, and that can disrupt the cohesion of your painting, right? If your light section looks like it's a different color than the other parts of that object, it's going to look very strange. So we have to consider how to mix chromatic warm colors, which means we have to be fairly conservative with our use of white and just deliberate with it. So when it came to lightening my yellows, I was using my cadmium yellow, which is very bright, and also a very light yellow as a means of creating those lighter and brighter yellows. As the yellow is in shadow, it becomes more neutralized, so it has that purple in it. That's browning it down. It's also darkening it, and it's neutralizing it, which is making it also read like a shadow. In areas of highlight, and a highlight is a direct reflection of the light source. It gets very light, very bright. that's where I'm adding the white into those objects, into my warm objects. But it's not going into all of the light, right? If we're looking at the light on our grapefruit, it's still a chromatic yellow-orange, right? There's color there, there's saturation, there's chroma. In the highlight, that's going more towards a bright white, but it's just in that highlight area. So part of that comes down to squinting at your photo reference, or if you have your own still life at home, squinting at that, seeing the value structure, right? And then also looking at the color and asking yourself, what color is this? And unpacking the color. So thinking, what color is this? What's the hue? What's the family? What's the chroma like? Is it a chromatic color? So is it saturated? Or is it neutralized? So not very saturated, more going towards gray or brown or black. What's the temperature like? That's going to inform you on how to lighten the color. If it's a warm color like this, you don't want to just add a ton of white into it. And then finally, value. The value structure also has to be there, right? You need those shadows and light parts of this for the form of your object to read. So those are all things to consider, and we're going to keep considering those things as we continue to move forward in our class and paint increasingly complex subject matters and colors.